This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Hello, welcome to this edition of Red Side of the Trent as we look ahead towards our game against Aston Villa. Joining me is Luke Robinson from Up the Villa fan channel. Luke, how are you doing, first of all?
Yeah, good, mate. I think we've both doing quite good, aren't we, really? Both be singing Que Sera Sera on Saturday. So, yeah, mate, I think both fan bases are pretty buzzing, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll recap, first of all, your FA Cup game as you've had an easy run as well. When we've made a hash of our run, to be honest. I mean, you beat Preston 3-0 at Deepdale fairly comfortably. What did you make of that game? And was it quite a good one to have, obviously, straight after the international break, then having to head down to the South Coast to play Brighton last night?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Preston and it was a classic FA Cup tie. For some reason, there was loads of balloons on the pitch. It had a real big feel to it. Preston had sort of not got to, I think they hadn't got to the quarters since for 59 years. So it was such a big occasion for them. But we was able to sort of just ease into the game, got the victory quite comfortably in the end. And then we had another huge game against Brighton. Our FA Cup run, it has been quite difficult. You know, we've had to play West Ham in Potter's first game, which is never easy playing any new manager. Then we played Spurs, and then we were rewarded with 2 games that were sort of games you should win, really. So it's been a bit mixed, our sort of run to the semi-finals, but Palace up next. So hopefully we can meet you in the final. What a game that would be. Us v you in the final. So yeah, good times, mate.
I think most of the neutral would love that. And yeah. I know it's funny because I was speaking to someone the other day and they said if Forest Villa met in the final, would it be like a derby? And I said, well, not really, because I think there's quite a mutual respect between the supporters and the fan bases because there's such a similarity between ourselves. So yeah, it would be amazing if we both got there. And I don't think, I mean, there'll be obviously people gutted if Forest got there and lost to Villa, but I think at the same time we'd be like, well, at least we've lost to a team that we don't mind and are quite reputable in that sense. And hopefully a lot of people who are listening to this don't mind me saying that. But we'll recap last night, Luke. 3-0 away at Brighton, which not an easy place to go to. And I don't think you've played a Premier League game since the 3rd of March or something I was looking at. He played about 1 million cup games because of the Champions League as well. So talk us through that. I mean, 3-0 on paper looked like it was easy, but it couldn't have been that easy, to be honest, because Brighton are upset.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, we had a weird March. I mean, we had something I think it was 7 or 8 games in the space of something like 16 or 17 days. And it was just absolutely ridiculous because Liverpool got to the final. It meant that they moved the game that should have been played in April to March, which congested everything even more. And then it meant that sort of in April, we only played 1 Premier League game or whatever. So yeah, it's in March, sorry. So I'm talking about February, but yeah, so it's just really strange how sort of the fixtures came about. And yeah, this was our first game for absolutely ages. And it was difficult because we've got teams coming up now that are in and around us. We've got you guys, we've got Fulham, we've got Bournemouth, we've got City, we've got Newcastle. So every team that we're playing towards the end of the are sort of it's 6 pointers every game. And it was a difficult one because obviously Brighton are a very, very good team. They were on that massive run of winning loads of Premier League games in a row. After you beat them, you smashed them. They went on this mad run. And I think that's a credit to them that, they didn't sort of capitulate and have a bad run of form. They sort of got back on track really. And it was a classic Emery away game, sort of sit in, dig in a little bit, and then creativity. We can create and score goals for fun. And the big thing about last night is that there's been a lot of talk about Asensio and Rashford and Marlon, but all three signed in January scored against Brighton. That just shows what great business we did in January, that they're all now performing to a high level. And we've had a lot of injuries this season, and finally we've got all of our injuries back at the right time to sort of kick on towards the end of the season. So we've got pretty much a fully fit squad now, and Emery's got everybody to choose from. So we're all thinking that, we have been a bit inconsistent in the Premier League this season, but hopefully now we can really sort of kick on and have a real good ending to the season.
I was going to talk to you about your signings, but I may as well talk to you about it now. So you guys took a massive gamble in selling John Duran from the outside looking in for massive money. I mean, it was hard to turn down that sort of money for a second striker, although he was pushed Ollie Watkins pretty well this season, it has to be said. But then you've managed to bring in three unbelievable signings when you look at it. I mean, Marlon might not look like it compared to Asensio and Rashford, but that gamble seemed to have paid off so far, because especially Marco Asensio, he's made some right impacts immediately. I mean, how do you rate that from a transfer strategy, first of all, and then what's their influence been like on the pitch? Obviously, they've been scoring and assisting each other quite a lot recently.
Yeah, we've got Monchi, who's like head of our recruitment, sort of a transfer guru who's at Seville, and he's very, very shrewd. He's a hard negotiator. He builds the team around what Emery wants. He's got a real big scouting network. And selling John Duran, he wanted to leave. He didn't want to be here. So when you've got a player like that, you've kind of got to you can't have a player that doesn't want to be there, basically. And it was the right decision in the end, I think. And we was able to bring in Asensio, Rashford, top high quality players. But the big thing about Emery is that he improves players as well. So, I think when we signed Rashford, I was a little bit like, oh no, really? But I kind of said, it's all on Rashford. If he wants it and wants to listen and wants to work and wants to be coached and gets it, then I'm sure he'll flourish, and he has really. And then Asensio, he's so good. I mean, his first game he played for Villa, he came on against Spurs, back-heeling, pirouetting, his touch, his ability to find space. You'll look at a lot of his goals and you'll be like, okay, they're all pretty similar, inside the 18-yard box, just running onto stuff. But he finds that space, and he's so good. And what an impact he's had. He's scored 8 goals now. And he's only been here since January. So the impact that he's having on the team as well, he's really good. And just really good, mate. I think, every transfer that you sign is always a gamble, because it might not work out. And these ones that we've made in January have just come in and hit the ground running. And I think that's shows the quality of the players, really, that they don't really need to adapt. They can just fit in and play. And I think the beauty about Asensio is that the way that we play, that where he plays inside behind the striker, that position's just made for him. It's perfect, really. So yeah, mate, they're all doing really well.
I mean, I think what I like, especially from just looking at your side, is him, Jacob Ramsey, and Morgan Rogers can all kind of interchange and be wherever. Even John McGinn, to an extent, can play wherever. And that causes so many problems for opposition teams, because they can all kind of fill in for each other, and they know that if someone's not where they should be, or where they're supposed to be at the start of the game or whatever, someone will just float in, and it's all quite natural, which is quite a scary proposition. But just a tangent back into the season so far, Luke, you 7th, 48 points, you're only a couple of points off Champions League, and obviously you've had to juggle Champions League this season. I mean, you must be having the time of your life going on to these places in Europe as well, and obviously PSG come up not long after this game at the weekend as well. So how would you sum it up so far?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, you'd look at the Premier League and you'd say, okay, they've been okay, and we have been okay. We've been quite inconsistent. We've drawn a lot of games, but we're still there now at sort of like the business end of the season. We can still get Champions League. We're only 3 points off Man City in fourth, so it's still there. It's still gettable for us. It will be difficult. But yeah, I mean, Champions League, honestly, it is the best thing I've ever experienced as a football fan. It's and I can understand why there might be a little bit of a drop off between the Premier League and Champ, because it's an occasion. It's not a football. It's an occasion. You go to the game. There's fireworks. It's a spectacle. It's so intense. I've had this weird feeling like after Champions League games where for about 3 days, right, I'm wiped out. I'm knackered. I'm so spaced out, and it's because it's just so intense. You're playing like Bayern Munich, Juventus. It's that intense, mate. I'm telling you, it's such a weird feeling, but you can't beat it, really. I wouldn't swap it for anything. And as a football fan, to hear that anthem and to watch your team competing in that competition, it's fantastic. And yeah, the Premier League, we've been a bit stuttery after Champions League games. FA Cup, we're going deep in that now. We're taking that really serious. So I think as a whole, as a season, it's been absolutely massive. But the big thing for me is like we have to get some form of Europe, because I've said that we can't not have European. We have to keep having European football to remain sort of like established. And for all of the good stuff that we had last season in the Conference League, the experiences have helped in the Champions League. And I think if we say, for example, we get Champions League or Europa League, then I want the experience of this to go into next season, and hopefully we can compete even further in these competitions. So yeah, it's just been the best season ever, really. I can't say it hasn't been, to be fair.
Do you know, with the possibility of fifth being Champions League, which is looking more and more likely, it seems, do you think that's kind of helps Villa's cause? Because like you said, after certain games in Champions League, it has been a bit of a drop off in the league. So therefore, it kind of gives you a bit of time to catch up. And then because of your fixtures, like you read out, I think you're playing, like you said, you're playing a lot of teams in and around ourselves. I suppose like the destiny is in your own hands, which also helps us because we don't want them teams to catch up with us, because we've got Forest PTSD of obviously trying to somehow worm our way in there and upset the cartel.
Yeah, I mean, the fifth place is kind of partly down to Villa as well, because the coefficient of all of the teams from England that are competing in Europe, if we all go far, it means that we get that fifth place. If we all dropped out of Europe straight away, we wouldn't get fifth place. So the fact that Villa are one of the teams that are sort of helping that coefficient rating get fifth place, then it kind of means like, hopefully we might get fifth place ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it does help. The weird thing is, right, if Villa won the Champions League, I think we could have 7 teams in the Champions League next season, because if Spurs or United win the Europa League, they get it as well. So I think it could be like 7 teams, which would be mad. And then that would mean that sort of like it all filters down. So is it something like Conference League could be like 11th place or something?
Yeah,
so,
I think it could be 11 teams in Europe, which is absolutely mental.
I mean, that would just be chaos,
over half the league.
Yeah. So yeah, it is mad how it works out.
Definitely. I mean, if you had 11 teams in Europe, I mean, the scheduling for the Premier League would be absolutely ridiculous. You'd give a decent chance to the other 9 teams of like actually doing something, because everyone would be so focused elsewhere. But what as a Villa fan, what are you kind of wanting? If I have to like say to you, Champions League, FA Cup, or get Champions League again via the league, what are you kind of saying? Because you're in a really good position, I guess, for all 3. Because I know you're playing PSG, but I know Liverpool kind of made a bit of a hash in the home game, but I do give you a chance against them. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think every game in that Champions League is difficult. It doesn't matter whether you're playing young boys or Monaco. That they are all very, very good teams. And the thing is, a lot of these teams are like winning domestic leagues, so they're used to winning. Even Celtic. So it will be difficult, but I do think Liverpool did have a bit of a mare against PSG. I think Slot got it tactically wrong, so I think we'll be more difficult for them to beat. So I think we've got a fighter's chance in that. FA Cup, I really want us to go there and win it. You know, I think we need to be winning trophies. It's been such a long time since we last won one. Great opportunity there. And like I said earlier, I think for me, at the start of the season, on the back of what I thought was to come, I said some form of Europe. And I think I predicted us to finish 6th, if I remember. So Europa League, I mean, that would be a great season for Villa, going deep Champions League, Europa League, hopefully FA Cup maybe. You know, that'd be a fantastic season. So, you know, we're a club that we want to keep trying to compete for Champions League, but we're not consistently there yet. You know, to get to that level of Champions League every single season, it's really difficult to do. So I think we're building towards becoming a really good team. And I think, you know, we're far from the finished article, probably like you guys as well, really. So, yeah, I think FA Cup definitely, and then just try and get Europe in the Premier League.
Yeah, exciting end for both of us, and I'm looking forward to watching the Champions League as a neutral. So, and I hope Villa do it, to be fair, because I do like, yeah, it'd be a club I'd follow if I didn't follow Forest, to be fair. So, yeah, just want to get your thoughts and feelings, Luke, about us, really, because we're the black sheep again amongst the flock, I guess, in this Premier League season. Still third. Everyone keeps saying the bubble will burst, but we've got 8 games to go, and we're firmly in there, 7 points above Newcastle in 5th. Although they have got a game in hand. But what have you made of us this season?
Yeah, really good. I mean, Nuno, really good manager. Obviously, I remember him at Wolves and how he had them fighting Europe consecutively, season in, season out. I think Premier League wise, you are a very, very difficult team to play against, because it's one of them where everybody knows what you're going to do, but you can't stop it. And I think that's so true. Like, everybody knows how you score goals, everybody knows how you play, but it's so difficult to stop you from getting into those moments, etc. And I think you are, you know, like you say, you are the black sheep. Like everybody with us last season, it was like Villa won't do it, Villa can't do it. Even this season, like Villa can't fight on 2 fronts. You can't do Premier League and Champions League. And there's just a lot of excuses all the time. And it feels like sometimes when they do give credit towards a team like you and us at times, it's like it's through gritted teeth, and it's like, oh, look, they are doing well. Do you know what I mean? But we really want Spurs there, or we want Man United there, and you're like we're European giants. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've won the European Cup twice, we've won it once. There's not that many English teams that have won that trophy, and I just think they don't really put that much respect on our names. But you know, I think you are doing like really well. I can't say anything other than that, really, that you've smashed it this season, to be fair.
No, yeah, it's kind words there, Luke. I mean, yeah, it is like the pundits absolutely hate it, and I think as fans absolutely love it, because it's just so funny, and especially when you start sticking 2 fingers up to me going, well, you've laughed at us for signing 30 players, then you laughed at us last season because we got a points deduction and we sent out tweets and what have you, and then this season we've just kind of, we're playing anti-football and we're up there upsetting everyone. But let's just take it back to our last meeting in December. I think it was a 2-1 victory at the City Ground, which was such a tight and weird game to watch until like maybe the last 25 minutes when John Duran put you ahead. What did you make of that game that night? Because a lot of people, especially on our pod, have said it was a bit of a turning point in terms of our season of, can we go and do something? Because we were losing 1-0 going into the 85th minute. We've had a goal disallowed, and then we scored 2 goals. And I know the second one was maybe a little bit controversial from your point of view and maybe a neutral's point of view, because I know we spoke when we met doing that social event that Elliot Anderson's challenge on Matty Cash could have been deemed as a foul, but we've then gone on to score in that moment. So it was a testy game, to be honest, I thought. But one, I thought a draw would have been the right result, but we just happened to nick it.
Yeah, I thought we played quite well, really. I think we did a classic Emery, keeping it tight, really limited you to sort of transitional attacks. You know, we're a possession-based team that want to control the game, and you're ones that want to break on transition. And I don't really think you actually did that much, but I think you sort of had momentum towards the end of the game, didn't you? Like the crowd, it was really intense. You really like stuck it on us, and we sort of crumbled a little bit, which was disappointing from a Villa point of view. I think there was like a couple of contentious decisions in there, wasn't there? Like you say, I think that challenge, it was a foul probably. I think Rodgers got pulled back, could have been a penalty. You know, there was a lot of things like that really. But, you know, we can't make excuses. Like we didn't defend your 2 goals well enough at the end anyway. So I think that's probably where I'm at on that point really. But yeah, it was... It was tough for us really, and I think hopefully, you know, we're not talking about. I mean, last night, like the officials, we had a stonewall penalty. Ramsey, refs completely missed it. I can't. They're just a joke, aren't they? To be fair, at times some of the officials, but yeah. So I thought we actually played on a whole okay, but towards the end, you know, I think we sort of just fell apart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was the one thing I really took away from that game was not only have we managed to come back from a goal down, which is quite unusual for us this season, because I think we're the highest first scorers in games this season, which is an absolute ridiculous stat to be fair. Like that we're that high. But I thought the battle between Elliot Anderson and Morgan Rodgers was fascinating. Both 2 young talents just kicking lumps out of each other, but playing football at the same time. It was a bit of a throwback to like 90s or 2000s football between them two. I thought it was a fascinating battle. But what did you take away from that in terms of our threat towards your Villa side, Luke? Because I just thought I think the obvious one is the impact of Anthony Elanga in that game. And you must have seen his solo effort on Tuesday night against Manchester United. So that must kind of put the fear into you a little bit, because I don't think your back line is that quick. Maybe Cash, maybe is probably the fastest player in that back 4 for you.
Yeah, I mean, our defence has been a bit of a problem this season. We've had a lot of injuries, a lot of rotation. We've not had a settled back 4. But Emery's sort of gone away in this bit of a break and sort of sorted it out a little bit. I think we've kept like, I'm going to say we've kept about 4 or 5 clean sheets in our last 6 or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. So defensively, we're a lot more solid now. Mings has been back in there. Power's back, who's such an important player for us. You know, and I think we've got good threats both sides. I think we are... So far, I think we've scored 13 goals off set pieces, which is the most in the league this season. You're second with 12. So it shows that both teams attack set pieces well. We have also only conceded 6. I think you've conceded 7. So it shows that defensively on set pieces, so the makeup of those 2 areas of the game are pretty similar, really. And yeah, I think our defence has been a bit of a problem. Alanga's a massive threat. At times, we've had problems this season with teams on transition. But I think we've just got to make sure, from a Villa point of view, that once we've got possession, that we sort of like structurally set. So we've got players back in certain areas that if you do transition on us, then we've kind of got the cover. But your Elanga goal was quite similar to Rashford's goal that he scored against Brighton. Sort of like a ball over the top, driving forward, etc. So it's similar goals that we both scored like in the last round of games. So yeah, I'd say our defence has got a bit better. It's been a bit bad this season, but recently we've started to keep more clean sheets, which is what you want to do, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I saw, I think it was Diego Gomez for Brighton try and stick his hand up for offside. Like Rashford's ran from his own half. I just found that really, really funny, to be fair. But just wanted to ask you about any injuries and suspensions that you might have going into the weekend's game. And I know I'm sure I'll tell you some of ours on your podcast as well.
Yeah, I mean, beauty of us, we've got literally like no injuries. I think we've got Bailey, who might be a bit of a doubt, but everybody else is back fit. I mean, our bench against Brighton, it was a joke. We've got Watkins, Asensio, Marlon, Onana, Matson on the bench, and so we've got so much depth now for Emery to sort of pick from. So yeah, I'm just happy that everybody's back fit, really, because at this part of the season, it's what you want going into sort of like the business end of it. I think during spells this season, we've sort of just had no rotation for midfield players, which has been a bit of a problem as well. And Pau's been out, and Onana, Barkley. So the fact that everybody's back now is good news from our point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I got you to send me a last minute team what you think might play. So I'll just bring it up on screen. I'll read it out for the audio listeners. So we've got Emi Martinez in goal, Matty Cash, Konsa, Pau Torres, Luca Dean at the back, Jacob Ramsey, Boubacar Kamara, Yuri Tielemans, and Morgan Rogers across midfield, with John McGinn just supporting Rashford. I guess this is what you kind of had in mind when you sent it to me, because I was a bit like, are you playing 4-2-3-1? Where's McGinn playing? And it's funny because like, you're a bit of a throwback to 4-4-2, but it's very fluid, I find, when I ever watch Villa. Like Rodgers and Jacob Ramsey and McGinn especially have a lot of freedom to kind of roam in and around and get into channels and cause teams a lot of problems. So what's you thinking with this team with, I mean, no Asensio starting or Marlon or Watkins, to be fair?
So this is basically the team that played against Brighton, which I think he might stick with. Reason why I'll go with this team is basically we played with a double pivot of Kamara and Tielemans. Obviously, you guys play with a 3 in the middle. So how we generally tend to play at times is there'll be sort of like an interchanging with Rodgers and McGinn. So McGinn will drop into, say, a midfield 3. Rodgers then can then go and support. We have width that comes from Luca Dean on the left and Matty Cash, and then Ramsey will invert a little bit. So we try and get into sort of like a hybrid back 3 with, say, Pau, Konsa, and Kamara will then start going and screening sort of Matty Cash, who might have gone forward. So it's quite flexible. Depending on personnel, we sometimes change what we do, but most things that stay the same is the double pivot and the 2 up top. So the one that plays off, say, Rashford would be McGinn. He'll sit a little bit deeper and can roam a little bit. And, sometimes it might be Rodgers that does that, and Bailey will be on the right. So it's quite flexible in what we do. So we look to try and get sort of like camped in structurally and try and dominate the ball, dominate possession.
I never really asked you, is Marco Asensio a permanent transfer from PSG then? Because I would have thought
he's on loan.
Tied. Is he allowed to play against them?
Yeah, he can. So European rules mean that you can play against your parent club.
Do you remember when Coutinho did that for Bayern Munich and scored against Barca? I can kind of imagine that kind of scene happening again. So yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I look at this on paper and kind of I'm a little bit happy because we've got problems at fullback areas, and I know Jacob Ramsey and Morgan Rogers are very good footballers, but they're not like going to absolutely burn you for pace. They're going to be more about trickier in movement and then like third man runs and stuff. So kind of happy, but not happy at the same time, because I know it's such a dangerous sort of side to look at. Who's someone that we ought to be wary of? I know I mentioned the 2 there. I mean, Morgan Rogers has been excellent this season. Has he been your standout player, would you say, this year, Luke?
Yeah, Rodgers has. Tielemans has been exceptional, really consistent. One of our biggest players on the ball is Pau Torres. He's able to find like line cutting passes into central midfield. Then Tielemans is able to turn on transition, play through the lines. He's a very important player for us. Building out from the back as well, because he will play those sort of like expressive passes rather than just being really safe. So Rodgers driving forward, it is a massive threat. Like I say, like the bench is big for Villa now, because if we're winning and we need to see out a game, we've got someone like Onana to come on, Asensio, pace with Rashford, with Marlon, or if Rashford's on, if Rashford's on the bench or starts, Watkins, so we've got a lot of options that we can change games as well. So, yeah,
I'm not looking forward to it in a sense, but I am, because I'm making the trip to Villa Park. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my favourite away grounds to go to, so I'm really looking forward to it. Last of all, Luke, what's your score prediction for Saturday evening?
This is the worst part when you do these shows because you just sound really arrogant, don't you? Like backing your team. But
Yeah, it's good though.
yeah, like we're at home. Like we've only lost one Premier League game all season at home. That was against Arsenal. So we're very, very strong at home. We've not lost a Champions League game at home. So I think Villa can win. I think as long as we counteract your advantages of how you play, like I guess everybody says that, don't they? And they don't. But if we do that, then I think we can win. I'd say it's going to be quite tight. I'll go 2-1 Villa. That would be my score prediction.
That's fair enough. But no, thanks for joining us, Luke. What's any plugs for your own podcast or YouTube channel that people can go look at?
I mean, the biggest plug is you're going to be on my channel as well. So if you want to see Adam chatting about Forest and talking about their season, then we'll have that show that will be out as well. So UTV Up the Villa Fan channel is where you can find us on YouTube.
Brilliant. No, thank you very much. So if you've liked it, drop us a like. Obviously, check out Luke's channel as well. I'll be on there chatting about Forest chances against Villa at Villa Park. Until next time, we'll bring you our review on Sunday.